Hey, good morning, my neighbors. Welcome to another episode of that BYTTT that you know so well. Oh, little camera issue. Let's get that fixed. All right, there we go. I got a lot of work to do, so let's go ahead and pull up the chart. Here it is. Uh, um, NQ has been doing quite a very interesting thing. Um, we had a massive drop off, hence the reason why J Powell's candle was such a massive monster in itself. But we're getting a bit of a dead cat bounce, and it seems like that's actually coming to fruition. So if we look over here, we kind of put in the fair value gap, but during the London session, they did not, no, London and overnight session, however you want to look at it, they didn't really hold the level as we're trying to get there. So there's a little bit of a bounce, and it looks like they're trying to see if they can get one more push to here. I think we're going to try to get up into the 550 level sometime in the middle of today, but if not, we could be falling right back through. This is the opening range of yesterday as we kind of started breaking things. Yesterday's breaking down at this level here, but what ended up happening, they kind of like really pushed through. I would say if we kind of put everything and wrap it all in a bow, especially with the videos and earnings, which is um, what the earnings that we're planning on. I'm gonna go ahead and break some of that down. You would think that we would be just dumping all the way through, but that is not the case. So we'll see how the tech sector actually operates as we get closer and closer throughout today, and see how all this action happens. Let's go ahead and get over to oil. Here's oil, and I was giving you a little warning. That's why I drew these trend lines. We're coming to the order block, solid. We're coming to a rejection, possible. And you can kind of see during the overnight session, we're planning on closing below here. I would say in the next couple of days, if we stay close below here, we're going to see $61 to maybe $63 on oil again. So just keep that in mind as you're playing oil. Here's gold. Gold is still inside of that wedge. They're back again, trying to make this breakout when it's all said and done. There's a very strong possibility we could get a nice little push to the upside. The problem I have with this upside is, again, we did pop through and then they dropped it, and I won't be surprised that there's sellers that still sit in here. So just keep that one in mind as well. And then you got silver trying to drag it up, but silver is not showing too much promise. So we're gonna get ourselves maybe another pull through it, and if we can, then you can get that pop. But if not, guess what? This thing is just gonna go ahead and fall, and it's gonna drag gold with it. Here is the British pound. Again, like I said, very choppy. I would say just be very patient with this. Let it kind of calm down. I would say one more rejection is going to probably be needed, so that way you can try to take down this level. But it won't be a head and shoulders type of action. This is going to be a very choppy down. We're still in a bullish state over here, so I want to see this kind of like curl, maybe break this trend, and then there's a lot of sell side liquidity that's probably going to be in here based on this order block, based on this trend line, and based on the fact that there's a fair value gap right here. So a nice target will be the 137, but if not, then we're going to go ahead and try to get back 131 again. So let's keep that in mind. Here's Bitcoin. Bitcoin is still continuing to drop. Like I said, that 125,000, that's the one that we was looking for, and they basically hit it and they just took off. They just like, yeah, we got our profit. We got what we was looking for. They're gonna find better prices, use their capital, probably get repositioned somewhere around here, and then try to push it back up again. So just keep that one in mind as well. And then you got the Russell. Now, as they get out of large caps, they get into the small caps, and I'm thinking the small caps this was a little bit of a warning. I think small caps are going to be good in September based on this parameter. I was thinking that this pullback was going to be just as deep as what you get with NQ, but we're not getting that, and it looks like we're just getting that J Powell candle with this one, but they look a lot more prettier than the J Powell candle over in NQ. And then last but not least, the infamous dollar. And you can see that this undeniable force does not play. Like I was telling you, we did peak out to here, but there was very little follow through. So they kind of tweets about them this whole entire thing. If they do not go ahead and start to dump this dollar again and try to take out the bulls that just stepped into here, we're going to see a fall into the market. Because if it gets popped up to here and takes out this fair value gap, there's going to be a lot of panic, and I think that's the real play in September. So keep that in mind for September, that the fill of this fair value gap is what they're probably going to be looking for, so that way they can be like, oh, look at the market is going down, so we're just going to have to cut interest rates, and it's just in line with everything that everybody's speaking on. All right, so that said, so everybody go ahead and pull out a pen and a pad, because I'm going to go ahead and give you the news, and that thing is coming in hot, and I'm talking about hot off the presses. Because we got durable goods that's going to be coming out on this economic calendar, and I think this one's going to be relatively spicy. And I realized something throughout this is that looking at what the dollar is doing in this action, this could be that wick in action where what was previous a support, bang, turn into resistance, bang, and we spent 1-2 weeks trying to use it as a place of bullish contention so that way they can take out these wicks. And this order block refuses to be that area. Not saying that this is going to go ahead and make the dollar drop, but I will not be surprised that this is going to be bearish for the dollar. That's going to be what I'm seeing on the chart. Housing product price index, consumer confidence, that can then flip it right over again. And then you got Michigan, oh my God, Richmond. I keep saying Michigan. The Michigan sentiment is what I usually pay attention. Richmond Fed Manufacturing Index, that's the one that's probably going to be a little bit light. So, but I think with everything that's coming in at 10 o'clock with the consumer confidence, it's going to really play a part. And then we got ourselves money supply. This is going to tell us a lot as far as what's going on there. So that's what we're going to be looking at. Let's see what they got for us. Stock futures slip as Trump escalate attack on Fed independence. They want more cuts. That's all it is. They want more cuts. Because you got to give Netflix props. If y'all don't know, before Netflix, and the only reason is because of my kids, right? Netflix, if you really take their entire timeline on everything that they went through, right? Netflix first purpose was to just sell DVDs, right? They took down the Blockbuster. But in the game of competition, you have to always stay relevant. The moment that you're complacent is the moment that you're replaceable. Call Blockbuster. They'll tell you a lot about that. And what the strong K-pop Demon Hunters box office showing means for Netflix stock. And you could kind of see on the overnight session, we get a little bit of a pop. Here's the thing that I got to give relative props on. Netflix pivot lets me know that they're capable to weather a lot of storms that can come through. So changing of currencies, the valuations of them, like the fight of the dollar, and even if we go over to the ticker, let me go ahead and pull this up for you. We could kind of see we were like really chasing to really hold 13 into that 1400. I was really thinking we could pull back into like maybe around the ballpark figure of, I don't know, pushing 11 and some change, but we really started to bounce a little bit further than I expected, which was like 11,250, no, 11,150, a little bit higher than that into that 11,200, which is where we are right now, 1,200, somewhere around that ballpark, right? And what I catch from a statement like this is going to be probably one of those real good sell the news, right? We're going to get some pop where people are going to pile in, fans of things that's on Netflix and everything else. And then you're going to get some type of liquidation. So this could be setting up for a very strong pullback in Netflix for September. And that's what I'm kind of catching here. But it does not mean that it loses value. I would not be surprised $1,100 Netflix in September. That's where I'm going to go with that. And if that actually happens, then we got ourselves a true dead cat bounce. And because Netflix is such a top tier inside of NASDAQ, this is probably going to be one that's going to drag it right down. That's what I'm seeing here. All right, let's see. Let's pull out one more before we get out to earnings. Positive momentum for this Chinese tech stock is picking up. It says Katie Stockton. Alibaba. Okay, so that's the name we're going to go with. So let's go ahead and pull up that chart. Because again, we like to look at our own objectivity, not somebody else's. and we could kind of see maybe going into earnings, they're anticipating this plus a $35 billion in revenue, filling this imbalance. But again, it's tech, it's China. Now, could this be because again, Chinese stocks have been getting beat up? Shout out to Futu. This thing has taken off like crazy. I had this ticker at $160. This is at 194. Granted, the contract expired on August 15th, so I can't really, be like, oh, this, but I should have bought more time, should have bought, the shoulda, coulda, woulda all kicks in at that point. But again, they are okay, right? And good in dollars. And because the shares float is so low, that's why the EPS is where it is. Let me show you what shares float is. That is this number here, which is, oh, you can't see it there, but it's 100, maybe if I scroll this up, oh, perfect. 107 million shares floated. So, that does not really, actually, did I put it high enough? Let me make sure it's high enough that y'all got to see. Yeah, 107 right here. Shares float. So, I'm just saying, at the end of the day, this is what you want to see from tickers. But, BABA is just not that case. And you could get some type of sentiment inside of the market because BABA, on the other hand, is 2.23 billion. So I am going to take that with a grain of salt. Is it above the MACD? Yes, bullish. Is it stochastics up? Yes. Could they go ahead and test like 149? Yes. Is that about 20% increase on their valuation currently? Yes. But I wouldn't run straight to this stock because it is still in the tech sector and this thing can pull back something vicious and really start costing you some money. So that's what I would say for that one. All right, so let's go ahead and pull up the earnings coming out for today. So let's go ahead and switch up. So the first thing I see is, again, I apologize for the names. You probably never heard of them, but this is the tail end of the earnings cycle, okay? City Trends, if you don't know who they are, this is the ones that is very discounted price clothing and manufactured a lot from China. Tariffs does affect this thing, hence the reason why this thing probably did pull back when tariff talks already happened. But you can see a nice little solid base here as we try to go ahead and take some pressure. I would say maybe get back into that $40, but that's a big maybe based on the earnings. I don't think they released yet, so we're not getting no details there. And then tonight we got Box. Box is going to be very interesting. I don't understand how they make money, but this is a wide open going into the zero line. I am thinking this is going to go a little bit deeper, maybe even get back to like $25, but we'll see. MongoDB, MDB, right? This one is trying to make a nice little curl up, and this is a nice little space, but it's in the package software space. So could MongoDB and Okta really tell us a lot of what CrowdStrike and Datadog is going to do? I don't know, maybe. All right, so we're going to see what Okta, this is their chart. They're anticipating an EPS of just under $1 with 711 million. And there's a nice little fair value gap that we could go after here, but we could be slamming flush into this order block. So $76 or 119, somewhere in between that will do the earnings. What's the plus minus to that? Let's see something. All right, so we talk about order block here, maybe fair value gap there. We're talking about a $46 amount, so probably like a $23 plus minus depending on where it goes. So just keep that in mind. And then PVH, I may play this one because this is one of my favorite. I haven't played this since the pandemic, but this is the company responsible for your Tommy Hilfiger, Calvin Klein. I think they got Michael Kors, or is that another one? I might be wrong. Bear with me. Let's see. Calvin Klein, Heritage Brand, and Tommy Hilfiger. Yeah, that's another one. So yeah, not Michael Kors. So yeah, this is Tommy and Calvin Klein. That's the one. All right. So just keep that in mind as you're looking at this ticker for some upside. Tomorrow morning, we're going to be dealing with ANF, which is Abercrombie & Fitch, getting more into that retail side. uh, our community to a nice little pop on this somewhere in the middle of. Let me go to the daily. Somewhere in the middle of August. I think it was a little after earnings, if I'm not mistaken. Nope, nope, nope. It was somewhere in August. It was. I think we had a nice little drop here. Something signaled me, and then we just raced to the top. Could we curl back up and continue to the upside? I think we're in the bullish side of the daily as the weekly is trying to play catch up to that. Could it pull back? Yes, because again, this is going to be spending, and I think people are trying to save some money in their pockets. That's why interest rate drop is what's important. Tomorrow also is Williams Sonoma. This is more on the high-end furniture place. But again, when you run your company well and you do this with that at this price, and you also have this shares floated, that's what you want to kind of see. So I'm going to keep an eye on Williams Sonoma. Not good with the option contracts. Try that only once. So I could see this thing really pulling back if it needs to. Crowd. This is one that I'm looking forward to this week. And some of their competition. This one looks like they are trying their best to find a way to find a base. If it builds its base right off this 200, especially after earnings, we could get ourselves a nice little pop and rally towards the end of this week, which will be the end of the month. But I would be weary on carrying anything over this weekend because we're going to start September on Monday. All right, so just keep that in mind as well. Snow. All right, let me double check it. I think we start on Monday, right? Yep, it's on the first. Yep. All right. Williams Sonoma, not Williams Sonoma, Snow, because I forgot Snow. Snow, this thing, I've been looking for this thing to kind of like really rally itself. It does look like a little bit of a head and shoulder with an M pattern in the middle. It's just a very, very weird spot for that, but they're a very well ran company. I know that EPS is not the greatest, but again, it's just the competition that they have and the space that they're in. And also, you got to keep this in mind. When I see shares floated like this, it makes me interested because when it starts to move, they move. So I'm looking for this one to kind of give us a nice little pop. Another one is Urban Outfitters. Still in that retail space. This one's going to probably play a little bit of a factor too. I don't know if we're going to just run into retail, but things like this can benefit because these are more discounted than your places like your Williams Sonoma and stuff like that. So that's why City Trends is probably going to be key to let us know how the economy is responding to them. And are they pouring money into that? Then you're going to get investors to move their money as well. And then the last one is what everybody's anticipating. And I did leave it last on purpose, which is NVIDIA. And you can kind of see NVIDIA is at that upper register and they're knocking at the door as much as they can. This is going to be tomorrow night, okay? So I think we are holding, and that's why we're very choppy to see what will happen here and see if they can actually benefit in that regard. So look for this to really, really tell us a story as far as what is going to happen with NVIDIA. Sorry, I had to take a couple views over at my position, so that's why I'm kind of like going back and forth. All right, let's see. Anything in the earnings cycle? I don't think I have anything I'm really curious about. Let me get to my earnings list. Where are you? Earnings run. I like what SoFi is doing. SoFi has been pushing up. Where are you? I just saw you for like 2 seconds. SoFi has been pushing up and it's continuing on its run. That base at $10 was the solid move. Everybody should be happy with the profits there. Couple things I like is DoorDash. I've been keeping my eye on this one from an investment standpoint more than a trading standpoint. I think they're a very solid company and where they are in their space. Of course, in the video where everybody's looking for Palantir is trying to recover. They were at 180. We're back. Oh, sorry, 190. Jeez. And then we're back to 160. So that's about a $30 pullback. That was the price I was looking for, somewhere around here, when I was going to ready to execute, and they ran off on the plug before that could happen. That's why I'm not in it. And I think a lot of people are thinking just like me. They're letting this thing fall wherever it needs to fall. Coinbase is getting beat up, but it's not something that you want to run away from. I think this is more of a response to what's going on with Bitcoin than the response of how Coinbase runs itself. So I think we'll be perfectly fine for the investors. But again, it might be a good point to shave your profits if you got like triple digit percentages. So uh, that's what I would say. And let me see a loser. I want a loser. Lily was a loser, but I'm gonna go. Let's go Costco. Costco. Um, this behemoth. I was warning people a lot. I was like, listen, at $1,000, it's not gonna happen. I would consider just cutting our your ties to that 1,000 because I think a lot of people realize that that 1,000 won't hold, so they're gonna look for a discounted price. Where can they get a discounted price? I would say probably around that 884. That's where all the Costco shopping carts are ready to load the boat and get buy shares in bulk before they try to take out that 1079 again. So look for Costco around that 925 to as low as 900, maybe 880, and that's when we're gonna bounce. And I think that's what they're looking for. So just be patient with Costco. Don't go running into it. If you do, you're probably just gonna add to the liquidity. All right. So basically, that is it. And I want to say thank you very much for being part of BYTTT. It's been a lot of work. It's been a lot of fun. And I want to say that being at the position that I'm in right now, knowing that I'm so close to monetization, it's people like you that really helps me get there. So don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and the bell button, share it to your friends and family. Let them know that I drop great knowledge before you start your morning each and every morning. And I will see you tomorrow. Have a great day.